Okay. Good morning, or it's good evening where you are, and it's good morning for me. My name is Nadine K. Thompson. I'm the host of the Water Cooler Chat Show, and I am doing this in conjunction with Jenny, and it's part of the virtual book tour. And this year we have gone international, so we have speakers from all over the world. So I'm happy to host you this morning as you we meet at the water cooler and we discuss books, authors, and just life in general. So welcome, Stephanie. So I would like you to start by introducing yourself. Tell me a bit about you and how you got here.
Hi, Nadine. Thank you so much for having me. A little bit about me. I am a Jamaican living in Jamaica. I am the eldest of four children, and I'm from Kingston, Jamaica. I am a filmmaker, an actress, a singer, and all-round media communication and marketing professional. So lots of things all in one, along with being the author of Spoken for, Unearthing God's Relentless Love and Ending the Cycle of Heartbreak. So that's a little bit about me. I guess we'll get more into it as we go on.
Yes. I am just looking at, the painting behind you and just, I don't know, it just grabbed my attention. So,
Oh.
um, yeah, I said, okay, yes, that's do you know anything about the painting behind you?
Well, it was a gift. I was a
Mhm.
guest speaker at a graduation at the School of Hope, which is a school for children with intellectual disabilities. So I do love this painting because it was done by the students and it warms my heart, being gifted something that they did.
That's beautiful. So you
Yeah.
started by saying you have so many different facets. You're a filmmaker. You are an author, you're an actress or an actor. So, first I'll start with which one was first? So, which one you started with first?
I started with singing first.
Singing first.
So I grew up from maybe about 6 years old, singing in choirs at school and coming up. And my parents invested in me getting voice training all throughout my high school years. And I also became part of a theater company here in Jamaica called Jamaica Musical Theater Company, the junior theater arm of it is what I was part of pretty much all my childhood, really, into early adulthood. Just doing productions, plays, musicals, singing my heart out. But then I also got my feet wet with acting through that same company and dancing as well, because we did everything for these productions. And yeah, what can I say? It's my happy place. The stage is my happy place, and now the screen as well. So those are some little facts about me.
So, can you share one of the plays you've been in, the name? This is mostly for theater. You've been in the theater acting, yeah. So, can you tell us about one
Oh
of those?
yes, I mean we did mostly adaptations of plays that tend to run the Broadway circuit. So I mean things like Beauty and the Beast, where I did play Beauty, and we did Fame. We've done um, there's a production called Aida that's also on Broadway, and we kind of did an adaptation of that as well. And I doubled in the role of Aida for that too. So there's so many. And then in terms of local productions, because outside of those musicals, I've also been part of local plays, commercial local plays written by playwrights like David Tullo and Douglas Prout and Delia Harris. Um,
Taylor Harris, yes.
yes, yes.
Mhm.
So I've really been blessed to have had the exposure and these opportunities to do some of the things that I really love to do, including acting, singing, and just entertaining audiences.
And now you've moved on to the screen. So what's this screen you're moving into? What's that?
Yes, well, I have been in the screen industries for a number of years now, and I would say my introduction to that was with a short film that I did in partnership with some other filmmakers who we just felt very concerned about what was happening in Jamaica as it relates to violence against women and girls. And we all felt the need to write a story, to write a script, and to create a very strong female character who represented that justice and, along with the support of the different systems and anchored in her belief in Christ as well. So there's so many elements, that we felt a film could help us capture. It helped us to tell a story. It helped us to shed light on something that was very important to us and something we felt needed to be, we needed to take a stance against. And it also gave us an avenue for sharing our faith as well. The name of that film is Unbound, and it is about um, a sex trafficking ring that's happening in Jamaica that it has been uncovered. And it just so happens that it's uncovered by um, a detective who was a former victim of the same trafficking ring. And so yeah, it was a short film, so it was not a full length film, but we are actually in the process of writing a full length script for that short film. So look out for Unbound
Unbound.
Atonement.
Okay.
Yes, we will definitely be promoting that, so I'll keep you posted.
So can we see the short film as it is now?
The short film is available on YouTube. I just need to check with my partners on the project, because the film was done almost 10 years ago, believe it or not. And we have done the circuit of film festivals over the years, and we've had it on various platforms. So I think at this point it might be available for viewing on YouTube. So you can do a search for Unbound short
Unbound.
film.
Short film. Okay. I will. I will.
But I will also share it with you. So if
Okay.
you're having any trouble, I'll share it with you so you can take it in.
So you've been a storyteller in different ways, on stage, in your singing, in your dancing, in your
Yeah.
life. And now you move to writing a book. So how did that start?
Yeah. So the the thing is, I didn't necessarily set out to be an author. I wouldn't say that has been a long time dream of mine. So it's just funny how I think God stares our lives sometimes, and we end up in things and in spaces we didn't necessarily expect. But I suppose, well, what happened with the film, the same film that I just mentioned, around that same time, I also launched an organization geared towards that same effort of protecting girls who are at risk of being victimized. And so um, you could say that this subject matter has always been important to me and has really been something that has driven a lot of my creative endeavors, just wanting to provide more insight on these issues, so to raise awareness, but also to give an opportunity to those who have ever gone through anything like any form of victimization, to give them the opportunity to have some form of restoration, even through art, through the art of film, through the art of storytelling, and to just let them know that they're not forgotten, and to help them to feel seen. And so my book, I believe, was born out of that same thought process of this time now sharing from my own experience, not necessarily of victimization, but more so of just dealing with heartbreak on a whole, and just how much. I know from personal experience, it can shift your sense of self. When we go through different things that, we one could say it just mash you up, it make
Mm.
you for sick. Things that just, whether it's a relationship that ended that you invested so much in and maybe spent years in, and maybe even a short relationship, but you were just still so attached to the person or to the idea of that person and the relationship. It could also be grieving the loss of a loved one, and I mean, it's funny how I wrote this book thinking about those who would have gone through any kind of loss. And like I said, any kind of heartbreak, not realizing that, I mean, heartbreak is not something we can exactly run away from, especially when we don't control all the circumstances, right? Now there are certain things that I do believe we can avoid, so as not to end up in a cycle of heartbreak, as my subtitle says. Because I do think that that's a different kind of situation outside of things that happen to us unexpectedly that we still have to recover from, and so yeah, I didn't know, I didn't necessarily think that the book would somehow also find its way ministering to men and some of their own challenges with heartbreak. I also find the book ministering to me all over again because subsequent to writing this book, I do think I experienced to date the most earth-shattering heartbreak, which would have been the loss of my mom right before my book was published. And so I realized that a book like this, I think, is timeless, and it's meant to walk with you through different stages of life, even the ones you don't expect. And so, as much as this is a gift to others, that through me, I think God is providing a form of encouragement. It's also for me as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as you said, no one is, none of us can say we have not experienced heartbreak in whichever form. Some people have been in a cycle of heartbreak, but
Yeah.
also it can happen whether we are expecting it or not expecting it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we are not exempt. None of us are exempt from this thing of
Exactly.
heartbreak. Yes. So
Yeah.
it's good that it can relate to men, it can relate to women, it can relate to anyone caught in any situation that they can let go of this. So
Mhm.
the inspiration then came from the stories around you, all these stories you said, all these situations. So
Yeah.
would you then like to share, I mean, any page from your book, a paragraph or something, read for us, something from your book?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So, um, one of my favorite parts of the book is the fact that I have poems in this book as well.
Mhm. I'm a
Um,
poet, so I write a lot, so I love poetry, so thank you.
oh, that's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
So I can share a poem with you. And maybe if I get a chance, I can share something else from from a chapter called Singleness, My Superpower. But the poem I'd like to share is called Wholehearted Love. This is the book, just so anybody wants, so you can show, so you can see. So it's called Wholehearted Love, and this is on page 101 in the physical copy, and it starts like this. Love the Lord with all your heart, said a wise woman of old. But how can I love wholly? I asked, with a heart that isn't whole. She smiled and looked up as if reminiscing on times past. Every little broken heart, she said, will surely mend at last. Be grateful for every day. Start by just being you. You can read and cry and play. Do all the things you love to do. Slowly but surely. my dear, you will heal. And even as you grieve at times, little secrets will the Lord reveal. Eventually, you will find, as you spend more time with Him, that weight of brokenness you once felt begins to finally subside. Soon, my love, your heart will be whole and you will be ready to fly, to soar on wings of strength and courage, to love faster than the twinkling of an eye.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
love that question you're asking, how can it become whole again? And then the answer comes. It's
Yes.
beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
So
that is.
was it like you were talking to your mom or somebody, or you just kind of created this woman in the story?
Well, so this book was written before my mom passed. It just wasn't published as yet. So no, this wasn't a conversation with my mom in my mind. It was more a character that I think I created, like a grandmotherly character who
Mhm.
was just giving her words of wisdom on heartbreak. Yeah, so
Okay.
I think that's the image of the character I had in mind.
So what percentage of the book is poetry and then the rest is prose? What percentage?
Well, so it's a memoir. So
Mhm.
majority of the book, like I would say 80% of the book is it's just a told story from my
Mm.
perspective. But then the other 20% has a mixture of poems and prayers. So I do have prayers in here as well, like a prayer for anybody who is maybe struggling with forgiving God, even or forgiving themselves. I have a prayer when there is anger towards God, is what I call it. And I also have a prayer of, when you've received a conviction that, let's say you were in a relationship that you knew wasn't right. It wasn't a healthy relationship, and so there's an acknowledgement of your part in what has happened, in the demise of this relationship. I feel like that's important. It's important to take accountability for healing, because if we just kind of continue blaming other people for the heartbreak, you don't ever really get to heal. And you tend to also then fall into that same pattern that I'm talking about of a cycle of heartbreak, because you're not taking the time to pause and see, okay, what actions do I need to change? What different approach do I need to take, um, so that I can have a different outcome? And and so there is a prayer for repenting of these decisions that we've made, or relationships that we have entertained or facilitated. So there are prayers in here, and there are also reflections,
Mhm.
reflective questions to help persons to do a bit of introspection for themselves as well, because that's one of my goals with this book, is to really to help people kickstart their own journey with God in processing their emotions, actually taking the time to feel what it is that you're feeling, without just trying to brush over it and move on, and just quickly move on into another relationship, for example, as a coping mechanism.
I was gonna say
There
you
are
look really young, but you have all
ways
this
that people
wisdom.
tend to cope with heartbreak.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, to God be the glory, I'm still
Yeah.
learning.
You're
Yeah,
still learning, yeah, because there's a lot of wisdom, reflecting a lot of wisdom about taking the responsibility, then not, because that's part of stopping this cycle.
exactly.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you can go ahead and read another section if you want to read something else. Think you got frozen a bit.
Where I say,
Hmm.
um, Let me just make sure to find it.
So how long did it take you to do this book? Did you just keep continuously writing?
Essentially, so it's I guess it has been I think it's been a process that over a course of years. But what happened is a part of this book started with my journaling, which I mean I've been journaling for years.
Mhm.
Um, between my 20s, 30s, early 30s, just journaling right throughout. So I would have pulled out things from that period of time. So that's one of my tips to anybody who's interested in writing. I'm encouraging people to journal. Maybe when you feel like you've just something just landed in your mind, like just a key just landed, record it, even if it's on your phone. Find a way
Yeah.
to chronicle these things because you never know. It might be the start of a book. And that's
And
literally.
I'm a big proponent of journaling, so I really teach people about journaling, the benefits. So I'm happy to hear you say that because it is a positive force and can help you. And as you said, you can go back to see who you were and where you were at a particular time. So it's quite powerful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And you just never know when you go back to something that you may have written down years ago, how
Mhm.
applicable and how much it makes such a difference in the present time. Like it was just exactly what you needed to be reminded of. But officially, I think you could say I started writing in about 2022 and more or less finished that process in 2 years thereabouts. So yeah, between 2022, 2024, and then I launched it to the world in 2025.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So who was your publisher then?
My publishing company is Daylight Publishers. They are based here in Jamaica, Crystal Day. And so, yeah, she and her team actually selected my book as the recipient of a scholarship. And
Okay.
I mean, I don't have the words to thank them for making this a reality because the book had been finished maybe a year or more,
Mhm.
and I just I needed the resources to actually publish, and she and I are good friends. I've also been a client of hers, her book coaching. I've been part of her program called Reach Millions, which is it's an author program or an author hopeful program. So if you're on that path of becoming an author, um, her coaching helps to really put you on track with goals and really taking it seriously and actually completing the book. So I'm
Mhm.
very grateful for the coaching that I received on the Crystal Day. And then to be the recipient of the scholarship to publish my book, I have no words to thank them. It's because of them why this
Right.
exists. Why people
Yeah.
can actually access it now and they can have a copy for themselves and they can go on Amazon and get it. So yeah, Daylight Publishers.
That's wonderful to hear. Okay, so yeah, you can
Yeah.
go ahead and find your second reading.
All right. So it says here on page 109, like I said in chapter 5, singleness, my superpower. Singleness can present an opportunity to be awakened to your true identity. And conversely, when we do not know ourselves well enough, we can lose a sense of our own self when we are tied up in relationships that demand much from us, our time, energy, affections, and thoughts. According to the Bible, all of these are precious and worth protecting at all costs. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life." Some interpretations say, "Keep your heart," This perfectly captures the posture that true singleness bears, a picture of someone gently holding their heart, nurturing it, feeding it, and handing it over as the Father instructs. At a point in my journey, this looked like declining what might have appeared to be a simple lunch or dinner invitation out of an abundance of caution. This did not mean I was a hermit with no social life, as my dependence on community and group settings greatly increased. More on that in the next chapter. But rather, I chose to keep at minimum intimate one on one interactions with persons of the opposite sex, especially with the ones I felt more attracted to. This was not easy by any means and did require a level of self deprivation, which is a completely foreign concept in this society that is all about self indulgence. So that's a little part there.
Yeah, that was just thinking as you were reading it. In
Mhm.
this time, as a young person, if you should want to take this road to singleness, how hard it must be because all around you, everybody else is, as you said, indulging into something. And it must feel as if, wow, your life is so boring. You don't, you're just a
Yeah.
hermit. You're just not, why you not participating? So did people like criticize you? Did people say things? Did you feel like this was a burden?
Yeah, and I mean, even when people didn't say things, people were probably thinking it, like, how should I have nobody, or people are always um, quick to criticize when you're not meeting what their standard is or what they think the social norm is. Um, and at every stage in life, it will be another question. If you're married, it's gonna be, oh, we don't have children yet, so it's always going to be one thing or the other. So I think it's just so important to be grounded, rooted firmly in, um, your your confidence in yourself, knowing that God has you and He has a purpose for why this is the state in your life. You may not understand or know fully why, and I completely empathize with those who have been waiting, and it feels like an indefinite wait, like, oh God, when are these circumstances going to change? But I'm telling you, at every stage of life, we are going to be having to exercise that same waiting on the Lord,
Mhm.
So it's like you're waiting on a partner. I understand. But even with a partner, there will
You're
always be
waiting.
something. That's
Mhm.
what life is teaching me now at this stage.
There's
Um,
no perfect answer that you're always going to have everything you want. And even when you do get everything you want, you still have something else coming up. So yes, that is
exactly,
perfectly true. But
exactly.
we are judged a lot by society. So as you said, if you are younger and you're married, if you're older, you didn't get married, if you got divorced, whatever your situation, is there
Whatever
always
the
some kind
situation.
of judgment. So you
Mhm.
have to be grounded in more than that. Yes. So
Yeah,
that's the key thing. So that I think your book is a very positive book, has a lot of wisdom that I
Mhm.
think this generation needs. And I hope that it will get out there to this generation, people in their 20s, 30s who can wrestle with these issues now to come to some
Right.
understanding. So where can we find your book? We have it on Amazon. Where else can we find it?
Right. So it's on Amazon, as well as I have been doing different events. So I've been here in Jamaica, we have a number of different festivals and art shows and things like that I've been part of, including one called Sugar Lifestyle Art and Lifestyle Expo. I've also done a Christmas event with Sugar Lifestyle where I had my books on sale. And coming up this summer here in Jamaica, next weekend, in fact, is the Book Fairy Festival. And this will be held at the UE Regional Headquarters. I'm really looking forward to that event. It's a celebration, I think, particularly of Caribbean literature,
Mhm.
and authors coming out of this region, and that's a good feeling to me because we're such a small region, and I think there's power in togetherness. And so if we're celebrating the region, then what I believe is that the world will hear that noise, and each of us can then reach a wider audience. I'm so grateful to be, here on your show, sharing with an audience based in China and all over
And
the
around the
world
world, and
and
around the world.
and around the world.
Around the world,
Yeah,
yes.
and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
how you can get my book, just come directly in contact with me, if not through Amazon, and yeah, I'll have your copy ready for you.
Mm. I'm a former graduate of the University of the West Indies, also former literature student. So I'm happy to hear that and to see that, Caribbean is embracing themselves and having their own literature. Because growing up, Caribbean literature meant the world to me. I read so many of the other great writers. So we are here now as the writers now for the next generation. So that's a great and beautiful thing. So if you
Yeah.
can, please share more about that and publicize it so that we can know more about these
Yeah.
festivals that are happening for writers and for literary people, because I've always been a part of this literary group. So I'm happy to see that in Jamaica there is this vibrancy of writing, of literature, of the arts, because I think that's where we are really excelling. That's what we are good at. That's our energy. We have this
Of
great
course,
energy. We have this great
storytelling.
energy.
And there's so
Storytelling,
many
yeah.
interesting stories to tell, from folklore to, the different real life experiences that we've gone through, such as with my book. So I'm excited for what's on the horizon. I'm sure we still have a ways to go, but this is a good sign of the times.
Yes. So
Mhm.
what's next for you as an author?
Well, I am looking forward to continuing to build my relationships with, you know, um, people like yourself, to help to spread the word more. So I'm very grateful to be part of this virtual book tour led by Jenny, and I'm looking forward to attending even more book events globally. I'm also looking at writing more and getting more into. I've been feeling the bug of fictional writing, and just thinking about stories that I would just love to tell, comedic stories. I'm also looking into some script writing as well for screen or stage. So I have so many ideas brewing, and even some ghost writing as well. Just coming alongside other people who want to put projects out but don't quite know where to start or how to get that going. And so some people have contacted me about writing for them. So yeah, those are some of the things that are on the horizon. So I think it's looking promising.
I especially like the script writing because I think that's an area that, can grow in Jamaica. So script writing is an interesting area and a vibrant area. So you have a
Yeah.
wide basket that you can pick from, you can choose from. So that's wonderful. So
Right.
as
And
you,
especially, well, just to add, just especially because I'm in filmmaking, and sometimes you are the answer to the things that you want to see in the space. Because we may complain, oh, we're not seeing stories of this nature, or I've watched things on screen, international projects that I feel don't have the kind of authenticity, even though these are supposed to be stories about Jamaica and Jamaicans, but it's lacking that real Jamaican voice, in many ways. So I think I also have a role to play. I need to be one of the answers to that problem. So that's also another way I'm looking at it and why it's important for me to get into script writing.
Yes, because we cannot wait for others to tell our story, or we cannot wait for them to show us our stories. We have to tell our
Yeah,
stories ourselves. So yes, so that's
exactly.
that's an avenue for us to grow in. So on this show, we have what is called the diamond drop moment, where we ask you, to leave this kind of strong message. What is a core message or idea that you would want to leave with our listeners?
So as I've been thinking about this, and as we kind of touched on earlier in the conversation, it's the fact that things will happen to us in life that are, just completely derailing at times, or they can be derailing. And many times when we feel like we've lost our footing, it's as if it's an opportunity for us to discover a new version of ourselves, or an an elevating and evolved version of ourselves. Um, and I believe that if this is a journey that you're taking hand in hand with Christ, so you're pouring out your heart to Him, you're, going through the mud of the situation, but with Him, I do believe that, you know, like that story in the Bible of how the potter molds the clay. I see that being our story as well. So we may be coming out of a muddy situation, but if we can just trust and believe that God is molding us through the mess, through the heartbreak, through the pain of whatever it is that we're facing. Um, if we can hold on to that belief, and this is an encouragement even to myself as I'm saying it, I'm saying it to myself that God is molding us into something beautiful, and the story will not be in vain. So yeah, I think I just want to leave that as an encouragement. And it is the essence of Spoken For as well. The book Spoken For is about reminding us that regardless of whatever circumstance you're facing or have faced, um, that there is one who claims us as his. We belong to him no matter what, no matter who has rejected us, no matter what pain we're facing. He still claims us as his own. And if we yield to that, if we allow ourselves to embody that as our identity, then there is hope, and the hope is for a bright future. So, yeah, that's my encouragement.
I was just thinking that you're coming out of the mud, but you're being molded. So it's not like you're just having this mud on you, but you are going to somewhere else. And as you
Yeah.
said, spoken for. So spoken for, or you're thinking that somebody has accepted you, you're with someone. So whether you're
Yeah,
single or not single or whatever the situation, you are spoken for.
you are
If
already
you,
spoken for.
you're already spoken for, already
Yeah.
spoken for. Okay, so before we leave, you talked about your family. You talk about you being the first one?
Yes, yes, the first
So
of four.
first of
Mhm.
four. So do you have brothers, sisters?
Two brothers, and then a sister that came long after. She came
Mhm.
when I was 16 years old. And I mean, now we are like best friends. It's like the age difference it's there, but sometimes we don't realize it, because of how close we are. But I love all my siblings, and they're dear to me, and I think a lot of my book too is written with them in mind, just wanting them to remember as well, that no matter what we've gone through, because we definitely had our challenges in our upbringing. And while we loved our parents and we're so grateful for everything they afforded us, like with any other family, it wasn't perfect, and it came with its fair share of pain as well, that we are all recovering from in our own way, So um, the book is dedicated to my family and to anyone else who needs the reminder that they are spoken for.
So how do they feel that you are now an author? Have they said anything to you?
Yes, of course, they are proud of
Okay.
me. They are
Mhm.
proud of me. One of my brothers, because one lives abroad, so he wasn't able to come to my book launch, but my other brother was there. They were some of the first people to get copies of the book. My
Mhm.
brother and his wife. Um, my sister, who, like I said, she's the youngest of us all. I mean, she read the book over the Christmas holiday, and when she showed me all the parts that she highlighted in the book, you know, I felt like that actually is probably, if not the most, one of the most impacting things for me that has happened since publishing this book. It's to see how she has benefited, and just, what she has been learning as a result of what I've shared. So yeah, I'm very touched by how much they have supported and embraced it.
And have you shared it in schools, in any schools? I know you were as a guest speaker at one school, but have you shared it in any other schools?
I have been trying with the schools. It's I haven't quite cracked that nut as yet. So I'm hoping to get into that. I've actually been in talks with another author who also um had her book published through Daylight Publishers. And she and I have been planning a book tour, a school book tour.
Sure.
So that is also, one of the ways that I think we'll eventually be able to reach more students. But for now, it has primarily been reaching audiences within church spaces, and like these festivals and art shows, like I mentioned. Um, yeah, people have been pretty receptive in these spaces, along with the fact that there is an audiobook version of
Okay.
Spoken For available on the audio app. So that is a Jamaican audiobook app that features, again, Caribbean authors primarily. And yes, I'm very grateful to say that Spoken For is available on audio. So for those who don't have the time necessarily to sit down with book and read, because I know how, I mean, time has just seemed to be,
Yeah.
you know, just gotten limited these days. And I struggle to sit down and read as much as I would want to, and I will just draw for an audiobook, and I get to complete it. So I encourage those who are not reading as much as they want to try the audiobook, because they'll get through it a lot better once they're trying the audio.
I believe so because, I think that's where people are heading to now, and especially, books that have any form of poetry, people are always like, where's the audio? Where's the audio? So I'm
True.
happy you mentioned that because that's another way that they can enjoy the book and they can enjoy the messages and they can go back and listen. So thank you so much for sharing all of that. So as we wrap up, I just want to say thank you. I've enjoyed talking to you. I've enjoyed all the wisdom you are imparting on us. And I'm happy to see that you are in the space. A space has been created, and you're pulling things from the space so that you can go forward. And as I say to people on this show, they're manifesting things. So you talk about that school thing that your book tour that you're organizing. You have called it forward and you have put it into action and you have said it here. So we hope next year that, we'll hear about what happened. So thank you
Yes.
so much. It was great having you and great, feeling your energy and feeling this book in this space spoken for. So before we leave, just tell us the name of your book again, where we can find it, and how we can put our hands on it and how we can share it and how we can find you. So just tell us again.
No problem. And before I do that, I just want to say thank you again, Nadine, for hosting me, and yeah, for allowing us to have this great conversation. I appreciate it. Especially on a day like today, I didn't get to mention, but today actually would have been my mother's birthday. So
Um,
it makes it all the more special that I am sharing it with you, talking about this milestone, and celebrating her as well. And so the name of the book is Spoken for: Unearthing God's Relentless Love and Ending the Cycle of Heartbreak. And you can find the book on Amazon. You can get your hard copy or you can purchase the Kindle version. You can also purchase the audiobook on the audio app. Just download the app, it's free. And then you'll find Spoken for along with an array of many other Caribbean exquisite books to enjoy. So check out the audio app. And then, of course, there is the Book Fairy Festival coming up this weekend, July 3rd to 5th at the UE Regional Headquarters. You can check out bffja.com to purchase tickets and for more information on the festival. So I hope to see your listeners there. Wish you could be there too, Nadine, but I know you're not here
Yeah.
in Jamaica.
So that here in Jamaica, yes.
Yeah.
But they, yeah, soon, yeah.
Soon,
Hope to
soon.
be
Yeah.
there fully, yes. Okay. So,
Yes.
yeah. So this audio, it's spelled O-D-D-I-O. How do you spell audio for this?
It's spelled Odiyo.
O-D-I-Y-O. Okay. So
Yeah.
O-D-I-Y-O. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Audio.com. All right. So there you have it. Today we spoke with Stephanie Hazle Lyle, and she's an author. She's a filmmaker, actress, and many faceted person. Beautiful, lovely conversation. So on the Water Cooler Chat Show, this is where conversations flow easily. So we had a beautiful, lovely conversation. There you have it. Thank you again and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.